Hi everyone, this is Mr. Assassin, and before I get into anything, I want to take the time to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because Christmas has passed, but the New Year's Eve is almost upon us, so Happy New Year to everyone. And yeah, that's it. Let me get into this. So I didn't do a review of Attack on Titan for quite some while because with my work schedule I didn't have the time to catch up with the manga. But fortunately for me, this winter holiday vacation slash vacation, let's call it, I had time to catch up with a lot of manga that I haven't been reading. So I'm going to do 3 videos of Attack on Titan. The first one, this one, I'm going to review chapter 69 to 72. The second video, I'm going to review chapters 73 to 76. And then I'm going to do a discussion video of Attack on Titan and where we stand right now at this point. So I'm just going to talk about some key points in these chapters because they have been out for quite some time and I'm sure every fan of Attack on Titan has read them. So I'm just going to focus on the key points and maybe recap what we already know. Now from chapter 69 to 72 we learn that Historia has took up the throne. She is now in charge of the capital, but even though she was very zealous and wanted to take charge of everything, the actual command remained with the army, with Erwin and his superiors. So she's regarded as a goddess, quote unquote a goddess, but she doesn't take all the decisions. The majority of the decisions are still made by the army. Of course, now it's the good guys because it's Erwin and his superiors, not the old dudes. But still, she isn't in charge of everything. Together with Erwin and Levi, she decided to use the money from the nobles to sponsor the nursing homes for the children who have lost their parents in the attack of the Titans. They also imprisoned all the previous commandments, so all the politicians, all the heads of the previous army, they imprisoned them. And this is something that we already knew in Attack on Titan, that even though people are on the brink of destruction, they cannot get along. So they still are selfish and have their own selfish reasons for doing things, and they will never get along. So them being imprisoned while humanity is on the brink of death, it's mind-boggling. It's actually mind-boggling because you would actually think that they will help each other, but no. They imprison the old regime, and when they searched their homes, the homes of the previous politicians, they even found designs for weapons and new technology that could help them a lot in the war on the Titans. But these guys were keeping that technology to themselves. They weren't giving it to anyone. That's just mind-blowing. With this new technology that they found out, they want to form a surgical strike and fix Wall Maria and take back the Shigashina district. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Shigashina district, something like that. The district outside of Wall Maria. And because they have all this new technology, and they want to get to the basement where Aaron's father left clues of the world and of the Titans. So that's most important to them. But that's not the only thing. The thing is that Wall Maria encompassed a third of the territory. Without a third of the territory, food became scarce, and people died of hunger or they died outside the wall fighting the Titans. But a lot of people died, and the population lost hope of survival. They lost hope of ever winning the battle against the Titans. Now, if they can win back Wall Maria, then the population will be revigorated and maybe they will once again gain the hope of actually defeating the Titans. We also find out that Eren has been training hard and he has mastered, well, almost mastered his hardening technique, and they are going to use him to block the holes in the wall Maria and in the Shigashima district. They are also analyzing the liquid inside the syringe that they saved from Lord Wraith. and it proves to be very difficult to analyze that liquid because once in contact with oxygen it evaporates immediately. So they don't have the technology to analyze that liquid. And now I'm asking, well, if they don't have the technology in the entire confined human world, yeah, let's call it the confined human world, within the walls, they don't have that technology, then where did it came from and how did they created it? And that's a point I'm going to keep for my discussion because I'm going to go on a ramble here and I don't want to do it in the review. Another thing that is happening is because they defeated the huge titan that was coming over the wall and everybody saw them defeat that huge titan that was actually Lord Ray's. A lot of volunteers are showing up for the Survey Corps because their spirits have been lifted and a lot of volunteers show up, but they have no idea what a titan is. Many of them didn't even saw a titan in their life. So I don't know how much they are going to be able to help because most of them when they see a titan they just panic and freeze, and instead of actually helping they end up causing more harm than good. After the whole episode with Lord Race, Aaron has memories of his father or of his old self that he didn't have before, and he's seeing flashes of people, flashes of specific places. He doesn't know quite how to fit these memories together. He's very confused at this point, but he does remember that there was somebody who was with his father when his mother got killed, and his father took him to the forest in order to inject him with that syringe. And he struggles to remember who that person was. And that person, he realizes that person was actually Keith Shadis, their instructor from the academy. So they go to him and they ask him to tell them everything he knows. And of course, Keith tells them that, and this is a story I will touch upon in the discussion video because this is very important, but let me just lay it out for now. He tells them that 20 years ago when he was scouting outside the wall, he found Grisha, the father of Aaron, and he had no memories whatsoever. He thought he was drunk and he jumped the wall or got out of the wall because if he jumped he would have died. But because he was drunk, he took him inside and they kind of became friends because Grisha wanted to learn everything about them. He wanted to learn about their custom, their ways, about the Survey Corps, everything. Slowly, Grisha realized that he was actually a doctor. He got a job at a hospital and everything was working fine, but still he was a mystery for Keith. And one day a strange illness hit everyone, and Grisha ended up saving Keith's friend and the future Aaron's mother. So he saved her, he saved a lot of people, and they fall in love, they got married, and they had Aaron, of course. And Aaron was special. Keith actually saw when Aaron's mother got eaten, and he was with Aaron when his father came, and Aaron told his father that his mother got eaten, and his father took him to the forest. Keith wanted to follow them, but Grisha told him to stay behind, and he stayed behind for a while, but then he went into the forest. Unfortunately, it was already too late because Aaron was injected, he ate his father, and he turned back into a child. So he didn't know what happened there, but he rescued Aaron and brought him back to the temple. And that's basically Keith's story, summarized, the samurai story, because there were a couple of things, but they are not that important. So they don't learn anything specific from him. What they learn is that Grisha, Aaron's father, was not actually from inside the walls. They thought he was from inside the walls and he stumbled outside, but in actuality he was an outsider and they brought him in. Something that might have caused the attacks of the Titans afterwards, because it's been a couple of hundred of years, I think, since the last attack. So why did they attack now when Aaron was born? It's because they realized that Grisha had a child. I think that was the main thing. But I could be wrong. I'm going to talk about it in the discussion. And after they talk to Keith, they have a banquet and they are preparing for their surgical strike against the the district of Shigashima, and to retake Walmaria. And that's basically what happens in chapter 69 to 72. Now there is a flashback, and the flashback is most important because in the flashback we learn about Kenny Ackerman's past from when he was a teenager. And we all know that the Ackermans cannot be mind controlled. They cannot be made to forget their past. So they know, and they know the past, and they have hatred for the king and the race family who controls everyone. They have a rooted hatred for them. And we go and see when Kenny attacked the king, and he almost succeeded in killing him, but the king actually cut him with a titan arm, and the king could have squashed Kenny. And Kenny actually says that it was the first time in his life that he felt powerless, and he almost went insane because of this, because he didn't know what a victim's position was. He was never a victim. He was just he always had power against his opponent. But the king made a move. The king of that time made a move that even Lord Race was shocked about. The king let him go, and he bowed before Kenny and asked him to head them. So Kenny was indeed the first Ackerman who didn't fight against the king and who didn't die, who went into the service of the king. And from that time on, even though he was not hunted, the Ackermans were not hunted by the king anymore. They still had a lot of enemies, but it was a lot better for them. After that episode, when he returned to his sister, Kachel, something like that, he found her dead because she was sick when he left. He found her dead, but he found a little boy in her room, and that was Levi. He then realized that Levi was her son, and that would make Kenny Levi's uncle. But he never told this to Levi. He trained the boy, he trained him with knives, he trained him in hand-to-hand combat, guns and everything. And when he thought that Levi could take care of himself, he left. Now, Levi didn't realize why he left, and when we go back to the present and Levi finds Kenny burning near a tree, because when the manga's titan Lord Race transformed into a titan, there was a lot of heat and Kenny took fire, so he was burning near a tree. He wasn't dead, but he was almost dead. And Levi asks Kenny, well, why did you leave me back then? And he says, well, I realized I couldn't do anything more for you, and I wasn't a good father figure, so that's why I left. And he tells Levi that he was actually his uncle. He was his Levi's mother was his sister. And Kenny was actually the one who handed the syringe to Levi, the syringe from Lord Race. He handed it to Kevin. He could have used it on himself and became a titan. Maybe he could have even survived because he was badly wounded. Maybe he would have been healed. Although he sacrificed himself to give them the opportunity to analyze that serum. So Kenny in the end was a good guy, and he appreciated Levi. He loved Levi, and that was something that was kind of shocking. You must realize that without Kenny, without him being the first Ackerman that actually helped the king, because he was the first Ackerman that helped the king, without that, perhaps we wouldn't be at this point, because the information, some of the information that slipped out in the current years, would have not been here. So if Kenny died in that day and wouldn't pledge allegiance, a lot of things would be different in today's world. But that's that. Those are chapters 69 to 72. And I'll see you guys at my next review. So rate, comment, subscribe, and take care.
Any rational society would either kill me or put me to some use.